Mr. Speaker, every single American who ever raised their right hand, as I did, to serve in uniform, signed a blank check to this country to lay it all on the line, if asked, to put this country before their lives, their families. America has a sacred obligation to all of us.
Republicans are being absolutely shameless with their new spending bill.
And let me be clear. The Republican plan to slash billions of dollars from veterans and the VA is an absolute betrayal. It's a disgrace. They're threatening to blow up our economy, to push us into default, unless we agree to cuts to the VA and to veterans and so much else. There is not a single protection, not one for veterans in their bill. It will mean massive cuts for veterans. Millions of veterans are going to be screwed over by this plan. They won't get the care they've earned. They're going to have to wait longer for their claims, and so much else will happen. My fellow veterans should know we're going to fight hard to protect our health care, our VA, the benefits they've earned. Mr. Speaker, it's a BS plan. I yield back.
So that was Representative DeLuzio pointing out the absolute shamelessness of Republicans with their proposed spending cuts, because it's so funny. You know, whenever there's a Democratic president and Republicans in Congress, Republicans always push for the most shameless bills because they know that if it ends up getting passed, that the Democrat would be blamed for it. And there's really so many layers to the shamelessness of the things that they push, because fundamentally, when it comes to trying to strip away benefits or funding from the VA system, this is something that theoretically Republicans are supposed to care about. I mean, when I talk about, for example, how we should do things about homelessness and maybe have like a universal housing program, all the time I'll get Republicans responding to me, oh, but what about homeless veterans? And obviously they don't realize that a universal housing program would cover homeless veterans as well, but they always use veterans as an excuse. They say, oh, we gotta help veterans first. We gotta help veterans first. But then they're like, oh, well, actually, we gotta cut the benefits to the veterans because what's really, really important is that we have tax breaks for giant corporations. And that really shows their priorities, because the truth of the matter is, they don't even care about what the veterans are doing while they're active duty, because fundamentally, that's for the giant corporations too. I mean, in their mind, the whole military just exists as nothing other than cannon fodder to send at any poor country that decides that they don't want to do business with American companies. And so, of course, they don't care about the people while they're in the military. They don't care about people when they're out of the military. And while I get what this representative's trying to say about like, oh, people are fighting for their country, the truth is, you're not. People who are in the military are not fighting for our country. They are fighting for the profits of giant companies. They are fighting for our larger system of imperialism. And believe me, I had to learn the hard way. I joined the military when I was like 17 years old. But it's just this shameless hypocrisy coming from these Republicans. But I guess it's not really hypocrisy, is it? Because they're very consistent that at the end of the day, while they say they care about veterans, what they really care about is profits for defense contractors and profits for all of the companies that benefit from labor in poorer countries that the United States has forced into austerity measures or threatened to invade or has invaded, all for cheap labor for giant companies. And so when you say you want to have some type of benefit program that actually helps people in the United States and does something to make life a little bit easier for folks who are poor, they'll all turn around and say, oh, we should take care of the veterans first. But of course, before we take care of the veterans, we got to take care of the corporations. And I guess there's no budget left for that. And at the end of the day, it's just an absolutely pathetic grift. These Republicans say they're patriotic. These Republicans say they care about the military. They say they care about all of these things. But what they don't say that they really care about, which is what they really do care about, is profits. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about for them. And so they'll point to the veterans that they don't want to actually help and say that we should help veterans before we help anybody else, which itself is a ridiculous statement. And then of course we'll offer no help to veterans to make sure that they can always use veterans as a political pawn in order to justify stripping away basic economic protections for working class people across this country. It truly is an extreme degree of pathetic shamelessness among the Republican Party that they continue to do this with great regularity.